Hey everyone, Marcus of Cradle Cat here, and today we're going to walk through the project session for my song Honey Hands, which I co-wrote, co-produced, and co-released with I.AM.EM. Let's take a listen. Yes, I love it. Let's dig in. So this song really started with the drums and trying to get a groove going there. So let's listen to what we had at the beginning. Pretty much our starting point here was this. And pretty quickly after that, we added the bass line to it. And also we toned back the drums a little bit just to get them a little more sparse at the very beginning in the verse so that it had a little room to build. So let's hear that very first part along with the bass line so you can hear how they fit together. And during this phase, we're really still trying to just set the tone of the song overall. And part of that process, we started layering in some additional samples on top of those drums. And while, you might not notice it at first in the mix, it really starts to add some movement and a little variation as it goes through those drum parts. So let's hear those layered in now too. So if we just hear the samples layered in, you can hear that layer here. Especially at the end, you can hear some of the cool sounds added there. Once we had the tone set there from just that bass line and the drums, I.AM.EM sent over some really cool synth parts here for the chorus. So she sent over a mix of audio and MIDI files here, a lot of which I just kept as the audio she sent over and mixed them in. But let's take a listen to what she sent here. Along with the bass line. So a really cool set of synth parts here, and one reason I really like these are some things that I wouldn't have thought of. So I.AM.EM did a really nice job building out the harmony of this chorus, which we'll see even more of later when we get into the background vocals that she added to this track. So once we have those parts all together, that really started giving me an idea for a guitar part to put on top of it. So let's go ahead and listen to just the guitars that were added onto that chorus too. So the first part here, you can see just sort of follows the synth lines, and then we get into the riff here for the second part. So again, this is doing a little bit of a call and response when it's paired with the synths. So you can hear the first part of the synth. Kind of takes the lead there. And then when it hits the second part, they sort of switch positions. Guitar takes a little more of the lead. Synths go to the background. So just helpful to think of those in context as I was kind of chopping up the guitar part and figuring out where to put each part, especially in relation to the rest of the song. Zooming in on the riff layer here. This is made up of 4 different parts. So the first 2 are lower guitar parts panned hard left and right. And then we added 2 higher layer parts, also panned left to right. And that gets us a nice fuzzy, thick guitar sound here, which I'm using mostly with Guitar Rig to get the bulk of that sound. After those guitars, let's dive into the vocal production, since that's what we started adding next, getting some of the lyrics and melodies down. So here, let's take a listen to one of I.AM.EM's choruses first. Take a look at how her vocals are being treated here.
Hey, honey hands, and glory.
And you can see a few layers there, so let's peel those back for how we got that sound overall. So first, we just have the main lead down the middle.
Hey, honey hands, are you feeling?
And then we've got this affected, kind of distorted octave up here, also down the middle, but just put back a little bit in the mix. And next we have two doubles, hard panned left and right, just to add some width there. And these are actually some of my vocals layered in with I.AM.EM's, so they're my vocals on these doubles, just to add that width here.
Hey, honey hands, are you feeling?
And then all together.
Gunning for the guts and glory. Trying to kill the king of hearts, put a jacket to play.
So that's what we've got for I.AM.EM's chorus there. Let's take a look at what was different about the vocals of my choruses. So over here, let's take a listen to chorus 2.
Hey, honey hands, are you feeling lucky? Gunning for the guts and glory.
And here, let's peel back these layers as well, talk through just some of the differences. So one is that I'm singing this all falsetto, so it's a little different register than I normally would. And as a way to thicken that up, you'll see that we've added 2 extra layers there. So let's hear that lead vocal first.
Hey, honey hands.
And then we have a similar affected, kind of distorted vocal here. And then we've got 2 doubles here, just pan left and right.
Hey, honey hands, are you feeling?
Again, sung in falsetto. And then we have 2 more doubles here, this time sung in chest voice.
Hey, honey hands, are you feeling lucky?
So by doing that, it adds a little bit of warmth, adds a little more low end to the vocal that normally wasn't there just since I'm in that upper register. So let's hear those all together again.
Hey, honey hands, are you feeling lucky? Gunning for the guts and glory.
So that's how we really thicken out that falsetto vocal for the chorus, making it feel really full while still feeling a little bit airy on that lead vocal side of it. Next up, let's dive into the background vocals. So again, we have I.AM.EM to thank on this one. We have really cool harmonies added here. Let's take a listen to what they are.
Gunning for the guts and glory. Trying to kill the king.
So really cool here. And again, something that I probably wouldn't have thought of to do on my own. And I'm really happy with how I.AM.EM came up with these and added these in. The other thing I really like about these is that the lead vocals that we looked at, there's not a lot of harmony content there. It's just the main melody and the octave up or down from it on the doubles, but they all follow that same melody. The background vocals here, this is where it's not following that same melody timing. It's a response part. So it's a different melody, different timing, and sort of alternates. So we have that main melody, which is, you know, just the main melody in the octave in the lead vocal, and then a broader harmony coming in with that response part here. So if we just listen to the lead vocals in background.
Gunning for the guts and glory. Trying to kill the king of hearts, put a jacket in its place.
Such a cool sound. As we dove deeper into the production, the next pieces that we started layering in are some of those ear candy pieces. Let's dive in, point out a few of my favorites. The first one we'll look at is right at the beginning of the song, this little intro sparkle sound. So this was actually something I found on accident. Just as I was editing the song, I would pause the song and then I would hear this sparkly reverb tail continue after I paused it. I think it was coming from the guitar part in the pre-chorus. So I set it up so that I could bounce that audio down and then just slapped it at the beginning of the song. The next little cool piece that we added in was transitioning into the bridge, starting to add a little bit of excitement by adding some stutters to the instrumental going into it. So let's take a listen there and I'll point out how we did it.
Drawing nothing but blood.
And here you can see it when I show the automation view. We can see that we're starting to add a tremolo effect here, along with a couple others. So I'll zoom out to all of those. So we see that we're using tremolo. We're automating the tremolo for how quickly it is diving up and down there. That tremolo is also set up so that it's more of a sidechain effect, basically. So it's cutting out the volume instead of putting it left to right. So it's sort of giving that stutter effect by using a tremolo setup that way. The other thing that we're doing here is a filter sweep, which we can see set up here. So again, just kind of cutting it out on that first tremolo drop and then slowly bringing it back in and then bringing it up a little more quickly as that tremolo speed gets quicker and as we rise into that bridge. So let's just have those automation views up as we hear it again going into the chorus, just so you can kind of follow along on what is happening when. So it gives a little feeling like it's sort of taking off and then gliding going into that bridge part. The next pieces of ear candy I'll point out are some risers that we made here. The first one is from electric guitars. So here it's sort of the equivalent of using, if you're playing guitar and you have an open strum, but your volume's all the way down, and then you slowly bring that volume up, treat that as a riser. So basically doing the same thing here, just using a fade in, going into that note before it drops into the chorus. So let's hear that part here. Again, just to solo them specifically, these little parts here. The next riser is from a vocal chop. So if I bring up over here, I call it the clout riser. And that's because this is from I.AM.EM's vocals. When she was singing the word clout, I took that word, added effects to it, bounced it down, and got this sort of impact sound from it. And then when I reverse that, I end up getting the riser portion of it. So let's hear those together. So I really like these sounds, and while I could have dropped in any number of sweeps or risers from sample libraries, that kind of thing, I really enjoy making these from sounds that are already in the song. I feel like it adds a nice effect that ties in really closely with the soundscape that's already there for the tone of the song. And then lastly, I want to point out some of the really cool parts in verse 2 here that change up the production a little bit. I don't know if these classify as ear candy, but just ways to change up the production a bit as the song moves on so that it doesn't get too repetitive. So first thing is how the drums cut out a little more than the first verse, just adding some differentiation there. Dirty chips and muscle, gone underground. So it's just the kick there at the very beginning of the verse, leaving a little more room for the bass and vocal that come in there. The drums also cut out a couple other times and just change up their pattern a little bit. So if we're looking over here, let's go ahead and zoom in on a part right here. Just subtle, but not having that kick on the one beat here. It's just that hi-hat, just changes it up a little bit, something to keep it different as the song's moving on. And the other really cool layer that I enjoyed doing here in the second verse is layering my vocal with a couple cool effects. So let's hear the first line added here. You want a beast, oh, you want the beast. On that "you want the beast" line, let's hear that again. You want the beast, Eric. So just taking that line, adding a lot of distortion, and widening it out a little bit, just kind of crushing that thing and adding a cool little monster tone to it. The other thing that I'm layering in there that was really fun was this part was actually from I.AM.EM as well. So it was taking the vocal melody, putting it on piano, and just layering that in with the vocal as well. So let's hear that. Who's got the crowd? Whose name in your mouth? Well, if that little piano part right here. That little piano part right here, just a cool, subtle layer that follows that vocal. adds a nice little sparkle on top of it. And again, it's a subtle little change, but a really fun way to keep the production new and interesting as the song goes on. So there it is, the session breakdown for Honey Hands. I've got these streaming links down in the description. If you liked it, go ahead and save that song. Follow myself and I.AM.EM so that you can hear more. If you enjoyed this video here, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe button and let me know in the comments. It really helps my channel out, and who doesn't like to hear when people like what they're doing? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.